If you watched my last two videos, you might be thinking that I don't have a lot of good things to say about gaming in the modern era. That could not be further from the truth, however. I'm just as in love with gaming today as I ever was back when I was still just that starry-eyed kid sitting on the floor and playing Nintendo. In fact, I believe gaming is better today than it has ever been before, and while the goal of this video is not to prove that point, I do believe that by the end, you'll start to see why I'm so optimistic. Sitting atop the mountain that makes up our world of gaming today are AAA games. These are games oftentimes developed, produced, and backed by titans like EA and Blizzard. While these companies themselves draw a lot of criticism and have undeniably marred their reputation with fans due to their questionable ethics and various marketing ploys, it cannot be denied that AAA games are still the cream of the crop today. In 2023 alone, we've got so many great AAA titles to look forward to. Why not start off with a game that is simultaneously the #1 candidate for being both the most controversial game of the year and the best game of the year in Hogwarts Legacy. The reviews are in, and from everything I've personally seen through my friends screen sharing over Discord, the game has delivered on so many levels. For such a mainstream IP, Hogwarts Legacy seems like more than the standard fare. Between this and the new Star Wars coming out later this year, it's looking good for big IPs in gaming. And as much as J.K. Rowling does her best to ruin her own franchise, I would love to see the next Hogwarts game give us a cooperative RPG experience, with a bit more emphasis on the RPG. Who isn't excited for Breath of the Wild 2 on Switch? It looks incredible, and with even more verticality to explore than before. Now we're still waiting on some details here, but the game is easily shaping up to be one of the best games of this year. Moving right along, we have Bandai Namco's Blue Protocol, an MMORPG which is set to see its North American release later this year. From the world building, the graphics, the combat, and the classes, I can't help but to be excited for this one when it finally arrives later in 2023. Try and keep up because we've got a lot of great games to go through before we reach the end of this video. Just look at the new Star Wars Survivor game that's releasing this year. It looks like a steady improvement from the previous entry, which was well received. And I think for any fan of Dark Souls games, you're going to feel right at home in this action-packed Star Wars adventure. Baldur's Gate 3 should be finishing this year as well, and as someone who bought this game in early access, I'm honestly relieved to see it releasing in all its glory. If you loved games like Divinity 2, or you love Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, or if you're just interested in an exciting new fantasy RPG, you don't want to miss Baldur's Gate 3 this year. And who could forget Blizzard's biggest announcement since they remastered Diablo 2 with the Resurrection game? This year, we'll be getting Diablo 4, and I for one cannot wait to jump in with some friends and slay some monsters again in the lands of Sanctuary. Bear in mind, we also got the Dead Space remake this year, and despite this game already having been released back in January, it looks absolutely horrifying. As someone who thoroughly enjoyed the original Dead Space, and even Dead Space 2 quite a lot, I'm happy to see the game getting remade, with what seems like nothing but love and appreciation for the source material. And last, but not least, of the AAA games, we're getting the remastered PC version of The Last of Us in 2023. And it couldn't have come at a better time. With the popularity of the TV series showing no signs of slowing down, I'll definitely be giving this remastered masterpiece a chunk of my free time. Indie games this year are not being shy in their amazing releases either, mind you. Right out of the gate, we have Sons of the Forest, that just released here in February, and should be available by the time you're watching this video. For any fan of the survival genre, you'll find Sons of the Forest has plenty to keep your interest, and terrify your senses. Speaking of keeping your interest, I have to mention the upcoming Hollow Knight sequel, SILKSONG. If you're a fan of both Dark Souls style gameplay and 2D platformers, this action title has a lot to offer and will definitely test your skill if you want to see the end. Indie games are rarely afraid of upping the difficulty, and this fantasy battle royale roguelike, known as Dark and Darker, is no exception. Now, I got a chance to play this one during its beta a little while ago, and it is not for the faint of heart. Never one to be tired of the tried and true zombie formula, Echoes of the Living is set to release this year, and looks like it's going to be a fine homage to the Resident Evil games of yesteryear. If you're a fan of the original RE games, this one's definitely for you. Finally, we get a game for boxing fans on the PC. It could not have come at a better time either, as boxing itself is seeing more and more mainstream appeal going into 2023. For its part, Undisputed is a fantastic and mostly authentic experience, fit for both the casual and the die-hard fans of the sport. I'm already sinking hours into this one, I'm not gonna lie, so definitely check it out. We're getting both the PSVR 2 and the MetaQuest 3 to satisfy console and PC fans this year. As both of these will be available in 2023, there isn't much excuse not to see these being opened on Christmas morning. If you haven't yet tried VR, you owe it to yourself to give it a try, and there has never been a better time than now. VR is on the cutting edge of gaming today, and while it has so much more to offer than just gaming, it definitely offers unique experiences unlike anywhere else for gamers. In 2023, we're getting both a virtual reality Ghostbusters game in Rise of the Ghost Lord and Resident Evil Village in VR. So there we have it. Hopefully there was something here that you could get excited about. And trust me when I say there's still so much more that I wasn't able to cover in just one video. If I left out your favorite game releasing or already released in 2023, please let me know in the comments below. I strongly feel that 2023 is shaping up to be one of the best years for gaming that we've seen in a long, long time. And I, for one, am optimistic about gaming's bright future ahead.